Hello everyone, happy Halloween. My name is Randy Asenchak, editor of ElderGeek.com, and you are watching the very first episode of Test Drive. Test Drive is brought to you by the very same people who have brought you all of our fantastic video reviews, Game Club, and also Elder Speak. Test Drive is not a video review, it's not a Let's Play. Test Drive also does not replace our video reviews, and it does not replace Elder Speak either. Since there are so many video games that release every week, we can't rightfully play through them all to completion and fairly give them a review. Some games are entirely too long, others are entirely too buggy, some games are simply so fantastic that we want the world to know about how awesome they are before we even finish the game. Test Drive gives us the freedom to play a game and give our impressions based on the time we've spent with the game. Some games we play on Test Drive will get their own video review, and vice versa. But I'll go through and dissect the games for you as I play along in hopes of arming you with more information about video games so you can make more informed purchasing decisions. The videos and comments are much less edited and scripted than video reviews. Now, on the plus side, that means you get to see longer uncut footage for most games. You'll also get to see some truly graphic images like options menus. But at the same time, you'll also hear more ers and uhs from me. I'll also let you know exactly how long I have played each game before I do every test drive, so you can say, well, Randy, you only played the game for 3 hours. The game gets a ton better after that. If you have any comments or questions about the games that I'm playing, please feel free to leave comments and questions below, and I'll do my best to answer as many of them as quickly as I possibly can. So thank you very much, bear with me, I'm going to be refining this process as I go along, but here we go, episode 1 of Test Drive. Alright everybody, for today's test drive, we're actually going to be playing Deadlight, a game that I actually played and completed during our live streaming on Twitch TV for our charity marathon for Child's Play. I actually just played it on Friday to raise money for, like I said, for Child's Play during our Friday night Creature Feature charity marathons. Deadlight is actually developed by Tequila Works, and Deadlight is actually the first game from Tequila Works, and Tequila Works actually owns the IP, so if there is ever going to be another Deadlight coming out, it's going to definitely be coming from them. It was published by Microsoft Studios. On Xbox 360, it launched on August 1st, 2012, and on PC, it launched on August 25th, 2012, where I actually picked it up on sale. It regularly goes for $14.99, but if you wait patiently, I'm certain that you can catch it on sale. It's labeled as a single-player survival horror cinematic platformer, and that's pretty much exactly the best way to put it. The main protagonist is named Randall, and I was kind of happy to hear that the main character's name is Randy, but before we actually go any further, let's get into the nitty-gritty and let's dig around in the options so everybody knows what's going on. I am playing the PC version, and just to let you know, I'm actually playing this with an actually Xbox 360 controller. I have played it on mouse and keyboard. It doesn't play as well. It plays okay, but if you have a controller, I wholeheartedly recommend going that route. I mean, after all, why spend all that money on building an awesome machine if you can't also get some awesome controls for it as well? Standard settings, let's go into the game settings here. You've got your controls. Crouch is left trigger, shoots right trigger, reload is left bumper, and sprint is right bumper. Now, the sprint is actually where I actually had some hang up. The sprint and the examine and action button, in my mind, I wish you could flip-flop, but as you can see, there's no way to actually change the controller setup. It's basically one way to go and nothing else. Select weapon is your typical left D-pad, and then aiming is with the right analog, moving is with the left analog. But otherwise, pretty standard controls. I really wish you could alter these, but sadly you can't. Object highlighting on. The object highlighting is for items in the environment. Hints on. Really, the game doesn't get too difficult, so you could probably go either way with that on or off. Vibration on for your 360 controller, and yada yada yada. Back out. Display settings. It does have a nice range of displays that it does support natively. So basically, if you have a monitor, it can play it on here. Gamma. Brightness, that's basically it. I'm going to leave it on the standard setting for this video. It seems pretty good. The game does a lot of stark blacks and whites, but it doesn't actually play a lot with light and shadow, meaning there's not a lot of stealth involved in the game, so you can pretty much leave it where it is. And in terms of the mood of the game, having a darker setting isn't going to change it at all, because like I said, the blacks are absolutely black in this. Full screen on, VSync, I'll turn that off. I'm not a big fan of VSync. Graphics quality, here's where I'm actually having a little bit of an issue with the Deadlight, and I'm not going to change this while I'm actually going through this. Changing this slider the first two times I went through and did this actually caused my game to crash. I'm not saying that this is an issue with Deadlight, but it probably is. The first 2 times that I actually jacked up that graphic quality all the way, it instantly crashed the game. I'm not saying that the increased graphics quality did, but something in this menu actually caused the game to crash. So I'm not going to fiddle with that. But I am kind of sad to see that there's nothing here for anti-aliasing, there's nothing here for shadows or bloom or any of that fun typical PC settings. It's just graphics quality and then a slider. And that's kind of sad. It's not a... I don't believe it's a very processor-intensive game, but if you're playing this on a laptop or on a netbook or something like that, it would be nice to be able to tinker around so you can get some real quality options here and get the best performance out of the machine you might have. But for now, I'm just going to click back and go through. Audio settings, music, sound effects, dialogue, subtitles on. Giving you guys a heads up, keep your subtitles on, even though you might not enjoy them. I typically like to play games with subtitles off, but there is a glitch in this game where during the cutscenes, the audio cuts out. So there's another gigantic glitch just before we even begin. Backing out, and then let's back out entirely. I have already completed through the game, so I'm just going to go ahead and select a scene. We'll actually go with... Wow, only 3 definite acts. Alright, let's start with Welcome to Seattle, and then we'll push on a little bit to... Sorry if this is going to be spoiling all of you guys. Just close your eyes, I suppose. I mean, I'm only showing you Act 1, really. We'll start off with Welcome to Seattle instead of going through all some of the basics of the game. You're not going to be seeing any cut scenes during this section, so like I said, please be sure to actually enable your subtitles so you can read what's going on. Here you can see the game is actually done in this fantastic silhouette mode where Randall, the main character, has survived in Seattle 1987, I believe. And he has survived the zombie apocalypse. He is actually trying to meet up with his friends and everything. And like I said, everything is done in this marvelous 2D platformy way. You can see that there's some active foreground, there's some active background, and the background is absolutely beautiful. If you look in the foreground, you can actually see, the detritus from former zombie attacks. There's crows pecking at bodies. And as you can see, Randall is quite agile.
This is what's left of our world now. These are the leftovers of the war between men and shadows. A snapshot of what we become. Bloody hell on Earth.
Randall's voiceover is actually pretty good. He's one of the few characters that has some voice acting in the game, and he definitely delivers his lines competently. The zombies in this game are not called zombies. They refer to them as shadows, but for all intents and purposes, they are zombies. Since everybody is in a silhouette mode, the zombies themselves actually have red eyes. The big reason why I kind of picked this game up is because I was on a huge Walking Dead kick after playing the Walking Dead game for the charity marathon, and I don't want to say I was on a Walking Dead kick. It was really more on a zombie kick. And this definitely kind of scratched the itch. Now, if you guys are seeing any slowdown here, I do want to say that the game itself does not slow down. From beginning to end, and I have completed this game, I did not experience any slowdown. I didn't experience any chunkage. If you guys are seeing any chunkage, it's due to Fraps actually creating a whole new file for me. Fraps is a pretty inefficient program, and one of these days I'll find a different solution for it. But here you can actually see Randall does a really great job of jumping and climbing, and the environmental effects are actually really good too. Again, sorry if you're going to be seeing some Fraps slow down here.
Thanks, buddy.
Now, I'm not going to play for too much longer. I do want to say that, honestly, visually, this is a super impressive game. But I will tell you right now that some of these platform puzzles could be so much better. Considering the environment that they've actually created for themselves, they have an entire city that they could be playing with in Seattle where they could create more parkour puzzles, and I don't want to say they fell flat, but I just feel like they could have done a ton more. And also considering the fact that this game only lasted me a total of 4 hours, I would like a little bit more. But Randall, as you can see, can actually do some whistling moves, and he can actually call zombies over so you can jump over them if you call them close enough to you. And the axe, well, I probably should have shown you this. The axe, while it's nice for breaking obstacles, it is not used for dispatching zombies. The story is actually told through some exposition segments where Randall will have just some flashbacks, or he'll just kind of tell a story as he goes along. But the story itself, sadly, I can't really say too much about, because as I said, the game actually does a pretty poor job with its cutscenes, as they cut out entirely with the audio, and I did not have these subtitles enabled the first time through. But the game is definitely not a loss. As you can see, Randall's animations are absolutely fluid. I couldn't tell you any real janky motions that he has. There you can see I actually didn't fluidly hit that wall, but it still had a great animation for it.
Shit, there's too many of them!
Now, this is kind of considered as a survival horror game. Ammunition and everything is in short supply, but most of the enemies... there are very few enemy encounters in the game where it's a mandatory fight. I really love the animations where you can actually run and dive through the planks on the walls. It is a little confusing, and something I kind of found a little bit weird. Some planks you could swing through with your axe, and some through you could like dash through, but you can't do both to both.
The news was right. Something big happened in the city. People went to war against the shadows, military and common man alike. It didn't end well.
The game always does a great way of kind of always doing a silhouette. The light source always comes from behind Randall, which I think is pretty clever. And here you can see you can actually trap some zombies into getting killed through little environmental puzzles. Those environmental puzzles don't come up too often. Most of the time it is just finding your way from point A to B. I will say this, it was a big missed opportunity, I feel, on their behalf. They could have done some really cool environmental puzzles with the game. But because the game is so short, again, it was only 4 hours. Because it was so short, I really wish they could have done a lot more with it. But here is actually one of the more impressive cityscapes that you'll be seeing in the background. I mean, here you can see Randall is a very, very agile player, and I think that it was just kind of a missed opportunity to not truly bank in on his abilities. Here you can see he can actually wall jump, and the wall jumping abilities don't really come into play that much. Again, some great animations when he's actually just sliding back and forth. The game does have some secret areas to find, all of which, I don't want to say all of which, but I found a good number of them while playing through my single player version of the game. I don't know, I almost wish that the game came with almost like a video editor. Or not a video editor, a level editor. I would love to tinker with some of their city models and their apartment models to create some little parkour levels for these things. And part of this game, I don't know why, but part of this game reminds me of what could possibly be done with a Castlevania game. I mean, here we've got this great spooky side-scrolling game, and here we go. Here's a flashback element that's actually going to be showing the tutorial on how to use the pistol. But if Konami was brave enough to actually go back and create a Castlevania game in this style, two-dimensional once again. I mean, they've been doing 2D Castlevanias for a while, but one with this level of design in the foreground and the background and in the environment and everything like that, I would be all over it.
First, you need to load it. The key resides in being quick, like those guys in the casinos with cards.
Now, if you've played Shadow Complex, the gunplay in this is going to be right at home of you. Right analog stick to aim, left trigger to shoot. I'm sorry, right trigger to shoot. I think. Let me see. Hang on now. Yep, right trigger to shoot. And then left bumper to reload. Now you can see here I'm actually holding it steady. His aim does wiggle a little bit, which is kind of a nice touch.
I like your style. But let's think of something harder now. Hey, you see that crow? Plunk it before it flies off.
And here's something I really like about the game. The zombies themselves can only be taken out with headshots. So you can be wailing away on them all day in the gut and belly.
No glory in killing the dead a second time. This is just what it means to survive.
Always in the head.
Make sure you always aim for the head, Randy.
But that's actually kind of what's nice about it. You have to do headshots. I think a lot of zombie games kind of wuss out on the headshot rule. But here we go. Before I was showing you that the aim does wiggle. Here you can probably see it a little bit better. As I'm trying to like pinpoint this padlock, you can see it actually wiggling quite a bit. My thumb is perfectly still, but it wiggles. Either that or I've had too much caffeine. Could be that. Could be the caffeine thing. Now reloading, he doesn't do the entire cylinder all at once. He does one round at a time, which is kind of nice.
That's Parker's motorhome.
Again, that chugging was just from fraps, not from the game. Up here we go. We'll actually use the gun for good. The zombies actually drop pretty nicely. They just, I mean, the heads just come clean off, which is awesome. I don't want to play for too much longer. I'm actually really enjoying myself, despite the fact that the game is really short. It is a very fun game to play. If you like zombies, I would definitely recommend checking it out. I do feel that the price tag at $14.99 is a little steep, considering its short gameplay length. I typically don't, if a game is super polished, I generally don't mind so much a higher price tag. I'm thinking of, I don't know, like say, there we go. But typically, if a game is super polished, I don't mind as much if it has a higher price tag. But I will say this about the game: it's enjoyable, but the front end of the game is actually the most enjoyable part of the entire thing. There is a portion in the middle of the game where you do spend probably an entirely too long amount of time in the sewers, but you get actually some great voice acting from Cheech of all people down there. But just entirely too much time spent in the sewers, and then the story kind of wraps up a little bit too quickly. They missed a great opportunity with with what they could have done with the story towards the end. Once again, just letting you know in the final thoughts here, I actually did complete Deadlight. It took me a little bit over 4 hours. On the positive side, I will say that the rendered environments are absolutely beautiful in the foreground and in the background. Some of the most impressive I've actually ever seen, which says a lot. The animations in the game are some of the most fluid you will also find, and it's actually masked very well by the silhouetted art style. The art design is fantastic and makes for a great Halloween game, and it also makes for a great zombie experience. In the end, I really think that Deadlight is a wonderful concept, but it does fall short on a few key aspects. Primarily, it is a very short campaign. The audio, as you saw in the gameplay, is actually glitchy. I would love to actually hear some of that audio during those cutscenes. The PC options are pretty lackluster. Once again, I would love to be able to tinker around with those in case I was running on a slower computer. And some of the environmental puzzles, they're a little bit on the weak side. You're going to burn through them pretty quickly, and it would be nice if there was something a little bit harder to go through. And again, it would be nice if they fleshed out the story a little bit more. Since I actually did complete the game and I did wrap it up under 4 hours, I will say it's highly polished, but a little bit on the short side. Basically, I'm going to be giving it a worth trying. Now, what does that mean for PC gamers out there? If a demo comes out, check out the demo. On Xbox Live Arcade, be sure to check out the demo before you actually play it and pay for the full experience. But also, the holidays are coming up again soon here. I guarantee you're going to be seeing this game for much cheaper than it is already. Once this game actually comes below, say, the $10 mark, I think it would be worth buying.